There are certain directors out there that have such a unique style, you pretty much know when the trailer fires up who's responsible for the film. I'm talking Christopher Nolan, I'm talking Steven Spielberg, and I'm talking the guy responsible for this new version of The Running Man based on the Stephen King book. You may have fond memories of the 1987 Arnold Schwarzenegger film, but the 80s was a long time ago, friend. And we don't make new movies anymore, we just recycle, reiterate, reinvent, and in this case, remove any of the distinct style that Edgar Wright used to have. But is that necessarily a bad thing? What a stupid question I just asked myself, and now I'm gonna answer it in a spoiler-free review for The Running Man. Say, if you miss the 80s as much as I do, go ahead and hit that subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. If you weren't born in the 80s, oh, fuck you. Also hit the subscribe, because I want all shapes and sizes and ages here. Okay, let's talk Running Man. And I think in order to really talk about this movie, we have to get our expectations in check. If you are a fan of Edgar Wright films like Baby Driver, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, my favorite of his, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Love, all those movies, then you're probably pretty amped up to see this one. And I was fired up too. I also brought along my 16-year-old daughter who thinks Glen Powell is just dreamy, although she prefers him with the cowboy hat from Twisters. Regardless, and I will say, Mr. Powell, how I have underestimated your abilities, sir. He is a beast in this film, hitting the comedic timing, doing the action hero thing, and oddly sounding an awful lot like George Clooney. Maybe it was just me. If you've seen the movie, let me know if you were trying to place his voice, and I was getting Clooney the whole time. Not Cruise, Clooney. Unfortunately, the film itself is good and nothing more. And that just kills me to say, because this is Edgar Wright, folks. I listed off some of the achievements. He should be knocking a film like this out of the park that marries futuristic sci-fi wackadoo with political and social commentary. And as someone who knows how to place a camera in a fun spot or do some quirky editing, it's so lacking in this film. I would believe if you told me this was a Ron Howard film. But like I said just a second back, if you remember, it is a good movie. I had a fun time watching it, but what keeps it from being great is a pretty piss-poor third act, some awkward pacing, and a film set in the future that oddly doesn't do a ton with the future world that it's playing in. There are shades of him here and there. I love the constant callback to this Keeping Up with Kardashian-esque show that's playing on screens throughout the movie. Sometimes our protagonist will even sit and watch it for a little while. You also have the always reliable Josh Brolin as Killian in this film. He's the evil bad guy, the owner of a massive entertainment network that's feeding lies to its audience 24/7. And Glen Powell's character, Ben Richards, he's gonna get a front row seat to the bullshit, as his name is gonna be driven through the mud while he's just trying to make it through the day. The plot to The Running Man is not deep or complex. It's a straightforward film about a guy who's on hard times, can't hold a job due to a bunch of corporate BS going on. He's got a sick kid and a wife at home. They're just trying to make ends meet. It's your classic pre-Hunger Games scenario. You have all the poor people in the slums, and then you have the rich assholes on top looking down, making us dance for coins, turning us against each other so we keep our eye off the prize, which is the fact that this isn't a fair life we're living in. It's almost as if The Running Man is a timeless tale that's completely applicable to pretty much any generation known to man. This is honestly such a puzzling one to talk about because, again, Wright's name is all over this thing, but it feels so generic for him. I have the same takeaway leaving this movie as I did with Predator Badlands. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. It's like the smart kid coming home with the report card and it's filled with all C's. I was expecting A's and B's, but on the other hand, I'm also happy the kid's at least passing. And that's kind of where I put The Running Man. It's passing. The music, while noticeable, I suppose, is doing nothing creative or new, which Edgar Wright is known for. His music is always driving the scenarios. He's so good at those sharp edits, that snappy dialogue. Everything has a flow to it. Skip it to bop it to bop, pow, pow. It's like jazz music. But the rhythm in The Running Man is off, especially later on when Michael Cera joins the crew for a little while. While he does bring some energy back into the film that's running a little bit stale for a bit, it also leads to some really rough action scenes where our hero, Ben Richards, he's showcased his valor several times already. Now in these moments is just kind of a lost puppy dog. Where should I go? Oh, there's people shooting through the doorway? Why don't I just stand here while they reload and scratch my head? Oh, I should leave? Perplexing decisions. Actress Amelia Jones, who I'm not familiar with, but she looks like 4 other actresses blended together, has a good chunk of dedicated time later in the film that completely derails the momentum. And I couldn't help but think, like, why are we introducing a new character now? And what's the purpose for it? But enough about my hangups. Let's talk about the things that do work. Again, Glen Powell steals this film. He's very energetic. He's very high energy. He's very fun to watch. Coleman Domingo plays Bobby Thompson. He's the host of The Running Man, which is a TV show, but also a reality show where 3 different contestants have to try to stay alive up to 30 days. And they win $1 billion. This is some Dr. Evil shit right now. But Coleman's clearly having a good time with this character. Since there are 3 contestants, we also have actress Katie O'Brien, who I've seen in like 4 other movies this year. She's completely blowing up. I'm glad for her. I think she's a really solid actress. And then the third dude is the comic relief who really is never funny. He's from SNL, one of the budget Lonely Island guys from the new generation. Anyway, we have 2 out of 3 of the characters being entertaining to watch. Not too bad. And I suppose, sadly, that's what I would say about 2025's The Running Man. It's not too bad. Not too great either. It's just there. You could do worse with a little over 2 hours at the theater. And yes, this film is, for some reason, over 2 hours long. It's rated R for violence and swearing. I'm desensitized, so I don't actually know why it's rated R. There must have been a good amount of swearing because as far as the violence is concerned, I just don't remember. Maybe there's some stabby stuff going on and a tiny bit of blood here and there. Nothing's really going to be dropping the jaw, I'll tell you that much. Glen Powell does pop the tea at one time, if you're wondering. I hope I can see Glen Powell's rippling abs. Yes, you will get that. Unfortunately, you won't get the rippling balls and shaft. I think that's the most fitting place to stop. If you're looking for highbrow reviews, clearly this is the place for them. Subscribe to Adam Does Movies on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I post movie reviews, commentary, live streams every Wednesday night, almost on a weekly basis. It's quite absurd how much content you get for free. And that's all I have for you. Hopefully I see you next time. Take care.